Hey yo everybody, Haku here, reading the second half of Snow White Raising Project. Now, for this one, we're just going to be continuing where I left off on page 30 and reading until the end of this. But I did get the email from Maverick Alpha, the translator, with the untranslated or raw, whatever, images of the characters for Restart. So I will be recording my video on that. I'm recording this Monday. It'll probably be up Tuesday as usual, but I'll probably record that either tomorrow or Wednesday. And as for when I'll post that, maybe Wednesday, but I doubt it. I'll probably post it Sunday, and I was thinking Wednesday or Sunday because every other day this week I have two videos planned, but I only have one video planned for Wednesday and Sunday. But my video for Wednesday is going to be the Boku no Hero Academia read-through, so that's going to be like an hour long and take a bunch of work. And I'm going to have to make sure, of course, I'm caught up on comments by then, so that I can separate the comments I want and do my... oh yeah, crap, I just remembered. And do my my Haku&A, record that on Wednesday. I just remembered that the new issue of The Walking Dead's going to come out on Wednesday, so I'm going to have to do videos on that as well. So yeah, probably not Wednesday, probably going to do my video of that on Sunday. And I've also been sitting on, well, since this weekend, been sitting on this Urara Meirocho series review that I recorded, made, and everything, and I've just been waiting until kind of a slow day to post it. So yeah, that'll probably be up sometime this week as well. I guess that would be it. Yeah, that I just remembered it here, so I'm kind of thrown back trying to think about what I'm going to do, since I just remembered I'm going to have to make the videos on The Walking Dead that's coming out on Wednesday. But yeah, that shouldn't affect this any. Just giving you warning, and then we'll start Restart on that's what the second volume's called, I believe. Restart. We're going to start that on next Tuesday, since this is coming on this Tuesday. Now for this, I read the last few lines so I'd remember where we left off, and I'm pretty sure we just got introduced to hair pervert Frederica, who is the new mentor for Snow White. She talked to Snow White a bit, talked to Ripple a bit. Snow White and Ripple had an argument over something. Then Frederica took this hair out of her files of hair and said, "I've found somebody better," and threw away the old hair. So that's where we left off, and wouldn't it be interesting if the old hair was Clamberry, and she was like, Clamberry had all this potential and turned evil, and Snow White's going to be good. But yeah, you guys probably know a lot more than I do already, and of course, and I'm going to continue reading this and maybe learn a bit more, since I only did make it halfway through. Starting off, I wondered what kind of exchanges those two were having. I seemed to have missed it. That wasn't what I was curious about anyways. I was more interested to see their battle training. Despite it being called training, it wasn't a series of running or jumping. For now, Ripple was teaching Snow White how to properly kick, how to properly punch, how to properly throw. Snow White had yet to reach the agility that Ripple had. Ripple seemed relieved. Snow White was still weaker than Ripple. Her movements were slower than Ripple. She didn't have Ripple's combat skills. In other words, she wasn't able to surpass Ripple. If that was the case, then Snow White wouldn't go to the battlefield. She wouldn't go fighting for real. However, Snow White was not the type to give up. I would guess that by the time Snow White improves, Ripple's sense of security will decrease. I was also relieved because Snow White had determination. Sometimes in their sparring match, she'd be knocked down to the ground. Despite her pure white costume getting dirty, her face didn't lose her determination, and she would always get back up again. Ah, so cute. Their difference in ability could be seen in their appearances as well. Ripple had survived Clamberry's fierce tests. Her scars marked her history of combat, unlike Snow White's appearance. Still, appearances can be deceiving, and it seems Snow White's determination surpasses Ripple. Despite their combat skills gap, Snow White had intelligence as well. I continued to see her movements. They were getting faster and faster, yet she still hadn't escaped that gap. I focused on her expression. I saw her passion behind her expression. Not only that, but I also saw impatience. Impatience is correct. She wanted to become strong. She wanted to quickly reach that level. She wanted to surpass this weakness. Despite being unable to match Ripple, Snow White has never given up. However, although Ripple diligently attends every training session with Snow White, in truth she doesn't want Snow White to become stronger. That's why I decided to contact her after the day's training was over. I've decided that I'll cooperate with you. I heard a gasp from the other side of the phone. Thank you so much. Words of thanks came back. Don't mind it. Remember what I said. I wanted you to use me as a tool for your growth. As a mentor, I look forward to that. I confirmed with my crystal ball. I saw Snow White's face. It was brightly glimmering with happiness, although she seemed to be calling from a steel tower close to the beach. I'll teach you these tricks to becoming stronger, so please keep them in mind. First of all, you need to increase your time as a magical girl. Minimize your time as a human. Whenever you're alone, you should be a magical girl. Humans and magical girls have different capabilities. When you're trying to learn something, you learn faster as a magical girl. I had special human life circumstances that prevented that lifestyle, but if I didn't, then of course being a magical girl would be preferable. Which makes sense why Clamberry would never go into human form, because if she isolated herself, stayed in magical girl form, then everything she did would be amplified. All the thoughts she had, she would learn quicker. Every action she took, she would grow stronger quicker. So it does make sense. It also is interesting. We don't know what's up with Frederica, that she didn't have time to be away from people, that she could just be a magical girl in her downtime. So continuing on. From the crystal ball, I saw that Snow White began to take notes. Her innocence was adorable. This kind of obedience, added to her stoic demand for strength, made her so lovable. Oh, Hair Pervert. Your human life is just a pretense. You need to believe in your mission as a magical girl. It's not enough to just think about it. You need to believe in it. Moreover, as a magical girl, or as a human, you need to repeat those fight simulations in your head, and you need to take them seriously as well. Not just thinking, but you need to believe that they're real. Believe this is a life or death battle. Remember out there, your opponents will be going for the kill. Also, again, getting distracted by a thought here. This just made me think, are there magical girls that were never human to begin with? Or if all magical girls were originally human, then who was the first magical girl and how? And is the world of magic a separate world and how? Lots of questions that of course we'll probably get to much later in the series. I know that it's impossible for Ripple to have the same ferocity as the opponent Snow White hopes to be facing, but it's not impossible. The greatest strength of a magical girl is their imagination. On Clamberry's profile of Snow White, it was noted that she was a delusional daydreamer. Clamberry was a battle-hungry magical girl who could only satisfy herself with more battle. Fav was a straightforward mascot who couldn't see that kind of potential. I won't make the same mistake. Snow White's imagination isn't a weakness, it's a strength. Using that imagination of hers, she can believe in something. Using that, I will mold her into the ideal, unbreakable magical girl. That may be a primitive way of thinking, but that's fine. My methods will work for Snow White's training. You may feel doubt, but you shouldn't. You should be serious about this. Remember, we are magical girls. In terms of human standards, our very existence is absurd. That's why you need to take this seriously. Magical girls become stronger by doing ridiculous things. Take Clamberry as an example. Your human life is an addition. I think it's your human life is an addition. You're a student, aren't you? Don't you study before taking exams? Do you think you can go to a good high school without weeks of constant studying? Sorry, page break there. Studying. If you want to graduate with high marks, don't you have to choose between the things that matter and the things that are just an addition? This is the same. Surprisingly, these things seem to make sense to Snow White. Snow White wrote down everything that I had said to her, everything that I said on how to become stronger. She didn't even question me once. When I apologized that I couldn't see her directly in her battle training, she told me that her opponent was Ripple. That's right, I already knew. Thank you so much. It's fine. Please, don't mind me. It's what I like to do. But at least let me thank you. Really, thank you so much. You saved my life. I held my right hand in front of my chest. When I saw Snow White's expression, my heart beat rapidly. How can a girl be this cute? Is this why she was frequently protected by others in Clanberry's test? Was she a magical girl or a temptress? Oh my god, Hair Pervert has fallen in love with Snow White. Let me grab some water at the scene break here. I already love Yandere Hair Pervert though, watching from afar. Or would it kind of be Tsundere Hair Pervert? I'm thinking Yandere, she's a bit obsessive. It turns out Snow White was able to gradually keep up with Ripple quite well. She performed everything she was taught diligently. Even though their combat skill hasn't changed, her mindset had been sharpened, and she had a one-track mind to her destination. Snow White also kept note of everything I taught her. In her day-to-day life, she kept imagining, thinking, believing. Not 1 hour, not 2, not even 3, but every single day. Her time when she was supposed to sleep, she used it for magical girl training. She continued to cut off unnecessary human activities. A magical girl is always striving to get stronger. After returning home, she meditated. After magical girl activities were finished, she meditated. After breakfast, she meditated. She was always in a constant battle inside her heart. The feeling of becoming stronger is the most exciting feeling in the world. I know because I've experienced such feelings myself. She seemed to be having so much fun as well. Ripple was perplexed. To her, Snow White was something to be protected. Never in her life would she think of Snow White as a sparring partner. She's arrogant that way, but it's okay. Even Snow White didn't mind, perhaps because they had a relationship going on already. However, while she was perplexed, Ripple's teaching style has changed. Rather than feeling like she was talking to a child, it was more like a teacher teaching a student. But if we're using that analogy, then the lessons are similar to kindergarten lessons. Very basic. For Snow White, it was good enough. For now, this was fine. Magical girls are different from humans. Even teaching how to properly low kick would take years for a human. As a magical girl, they could learn and perform it faster. At first, I thought that Ripple didn't want Snow White to become stronger, but now that wasn't even a question. She seems to be delighted when Snow White looked happy. Perhaps I was correct after all. I opened a file. There was a newly added photo to my collection. I added a short annotation. I should moisturize this girl's hair a bit more. Oh my gosh, so creepy. But it's so great. The creepiness is what, like, the character wouldn't be boring without it, but it takes a character that would just be ordinary, and just adding a little quirk like that makes the character so much more interesting. I think that more writers need to really realize that when they're putting a story together. In addition to that, I looked at Snow White's perfected form. What was missing from that? Her long, soft, brilliantly golden hair wrapped neatly between my fingers gave me some inspiration. I got it. Her range and attack power. No matter how much she trains, she still won't be able to surpass that. Snow White's imagination isn't directed there. I placed the file back on the table and took my magical phone. There were things in Clanberry's test that appeared that I was not sure about. I waited until their training was finished, and when they separated, I contacted Ripple. Hello, Ripple? It's Frederica again. I have some questions to ask. Is that all right with you? Sure. In Clanberry's test, you all received magical items from the Land of Magic, correct? I believe it was a bag and some weapons. What happened to them? We kept them. Me and Snow White. We kept them. Yeah. Her words were cut off and she was slightly stuttering. It's clear she didn't want to tell me. Perhaps she just didn't want to remember those memories. So you still have it, I assume. I believe it was a 4D bag, an invisible cloak, healing medicine, rabbit's foot, and a weapon. There should be 5 items. Yeah. Could you tell me who has which? I have the bag, the weapon, and the cloak. Snow White has the rabbit's foot, and the medicine, I think I ate it all. There's no more. I see. So Ripple had most of the items. Are you keeping it, or is it more of a common pool type thing? Yes. So you two can lend or borrow items between each other, right? Why are you asking? If Snow White wants to fight, then it's better that she learn to use all the tools at her disposal, no? So you're not opposed to the idea that Snow White will fight? With that tone of blame, it's clear that she still doesn't want Snow White to go into combat, despite her smile at Snow White's progress. As I thought, they were friends, so it was normal for a friend to be happy about another's happiness. Yet her fundamental principle hasn't changed. Just before the test was over, Ripple had killed someone who had killed her only friend. Oof. She feels guilty over her friend's death, so she must not want to allow herself to be responsible for another friend going into danger. She carried her sins on her back. Even now, it still haunts her. Ripple couldn't tolerate exposing her friends to danger. Let me grab some water before I continue, I think. What I was opposed to was Snow White's acting as she pleases. What she wanted was just, and so, like I said, I would help her. You realize where she's going is far too dangerous for her, right? The amount of danger she'll face is purely dependent on her skill. Then a large voice shouted out, "She is not a soldier." That is Snow White's decision, not yours. After that, the phone hung up. Ripple became very emotional. She didn't try to conceal that thought. It may have been due to her guilt of allowing Snow White to train with her. Ripple was weak to Snow White's pleas. Eventually, she fulfilled Snow White's wishes. Of course, as I said to her before, it's best if she were to guide her so that Snow White wouldn't be weak. However, what really made Ripple agree to train Snow White was her tears, her despair, that she couldn't do anything to help her friends. As Ripple now cherished her friends, she couldn't bear seeing Snow White that way. That was how Ripple is now. I picked up my files and I turned the pages in order to make my heart beat faster. In addition to that, I imagined Snow White's perfected form. Clamberry's strength, physical ability, and powerful magic was backed by her knowledge and experience in combat. In a battle between magical girls, you need to know your strengths and weaknesses. That is the key to victory. Snow White lacks Clamberry's experience or knowledge. Her magic was to hear the voices of people in distress. In the test, she was able to find hidden enemies by listening to their hearts when they were stressed out. She was able to tell Ripple that Fav would be able to be killed using the Land of Magic's weapon, because she heard Fav's distress upon seeing the weapon. That's right. Without knowledge of her own magic, she wouldn't last against an opponent, but if she knew herself, she may be able to stand close to Clamberry. Furthermore, using those 4 items, she can choose the best tools for the situation. By the time I finished reading, Snow White had become the most invincible magical girl in history in my head. I'm satisfied. I put down the file and stretched my back. As I expected, Ripple never stopped training Snow White. Okay, before I continue on, I like this because in a combat situation, if Snow White really learns how to hone her power, then her power essentially changes in a way in combat from becoming hearing the voices of people in distress to knowing her opponent's exact weakness, because she would know what her opponent was worried about getting hit with or happening. She would know her opponent's weaknesses at all times if she trained it in that sort of combat-oriented way. Now we can continue on. She prioritized Snow White's desires as opposed to her own. Like a human who picked up a sword to fight, arrogance is a proud weapon. This was just like Ripple, though I know Ripple still held a grudge against me. When Snow White launched a light jab and threw a high kick on her right, her leg was grabbed by Ripple, who slammed it down to the ground. Ripple then twisted Snow White's right arm and lightly pressed it towards the ground. The two then separated and tried again. Okay. This time, Snow White jumped first, launching her fist down in full power from that momentum. Ripple lightly blocked it, and Snow White observed how she moved her body so that she would take the least damage possible. Snow White remembered everything Ripple taught her, but she also learned far more than that. After the jab, she launched a high kick towards Ripple's left side. She had attacked her blind spot, knocking her down. Taking advantage of Ripple's lost eye, not only did she use the things she learned, but she fought unpredictably as well. And we have we have an illustration here. Snow White punching past Ripple. I like this. So Ripple's eye itself is missing now, huh? Can't really tell very well in that image. Just looking at it. Okay, continuing on. Even if it's only her knowledge and intuition, she's grown this much in 1 month. How much will it change 1 month later? However, after the first try, her jumping telephone punch didn't work again. That's fine. Ripple will correct her on how to keep her movements varied. I turned off the crystal ball. Snow White was growing up beautifully, though I can't afford to be careless with her. There were many things that I needed to do. I even stalled my usual job for her. Just like a human life, even magical girls have jobs as well. My job was one with the highest priority, scouting for the next candidates in selection tests. As a scout as I am as a mentor, I always seek out magical girls who possess the talent to become my ideal magical girl. I would collect the magical girls, they would compete, and I would select one to pass. For my ideals, I chose those who were capable of slaying evil, a heroine that can stand for justice. I prepared for that. The next test to be scheduled, I checked my magical phone, would be soon. I looked at the faces of the participants through my magical phone. All of them lacked anything that made me go, ah, this one. What if she puts on the, again, this may be the case and I just don't know yet. I'm just thinking, oh, what if this leads in and she's the one that does the test and restart? Or what if she sees Snow White and is like, yo, let me do what Clamberry did and put on an evil test. Oh, don't let me down though. Be a good person, hair pervert. Be a good person. None of the magical girls that I saw had the hair that I wanted in my collection either. Though I didn't like damn it, hair pervert. Though I'd like to at least devise something good with this next test. One thought came up. What about a test in an amusement park? I remembered the rooftop where I met Ripple. There was that atmosphere at night, a facility surrounded by playground equipment, stalls, and those kinds of nostalgic things. To shape out new ideas, I took out a file and began reading. A month after that, it could be said that things have progressed smoothly. Whoa, hold on. Page just freaked out on me. Had progressed smoothly. Ripple and Snow White's practice sessions had become more intense. They moved from practicing in the park to practicing in the mountains. This was because in the park a lot of the ground began to break, and the playground equipment as well. Of course it was due to their magical girl strength. That common sense made me smile. In the mountains they were able to move more freely. After kicking the rock wall, they jumped into the air, using their momentum to direct their attacks. When they collided with each other, they each attacked and counterattacked in sync, jumping away, twisting and turning in the trees, landing and attacking once more. Snow White had become full of imagination. She was much closer to her ideal self. Although she hasn't surpassed Ripple by too much, she was now an equal match for her. It's amazing to see her like this, compared to only 2 months ago. Her imagination is more wonderful than I thought. Also, surprisingly, Ripple was also getting better as well. She seems to be growing alongside Snow White. Was she inspired by Snow White? Now, Snow White and Ripple were both maturing together, while wiping away their sweat. They continued fighting while also learning. Like this? No, watch. Attack like this. How cute are these two? They spoke as they fought, smiling along the way. When I saw them, I felt like a mother watching her children. I watched the two while embracing the feeling that they've become stronger. Occasionally, tears would come out as well. I was hoping that I would be able to have Ripple lend the items as well. I tried calling her, but all my calls were always rejected by her. She's that type of girl, it seems. But I'll have to talk to her face to face. Ripple is indispensable for raising Snow White. Thus, communicating with Ripple was also necessary. Meanwhile, my phone calls with Snow White have gone on with no interruptions. In there I gave her advice, referencing everything that I saw of her training using my crystal ball. Of course, I had to be her mentor. I see, so you managed to read her movements. Yes, it almost feels like I knew it before it happened. It feels so amazing. If it's fine with you, could, you come and watch me train? I'm sorry, I really do want to come, but now isn't a convenient time. It doesn't suit my schedule yet. Ah, I see. I really wanted to meet her, Before this, her words seemed like she was impressed by my advice, but this was the first time she straight out asked me to come see her. It feels nice to be honored, but I wanted to avoid meeting face to face with her. Unfortunately so. However, you have some tells, don't you? Tells? Tendencies that you do before doing something. For example, before you move out, you always seem to pull one of your feet back. It could be that your movements could be read because of that tell. Snow White did have that tell. I continued on. Now, you don't have to get rid of that tell. In fact, you can use it to your advantage. Going by the previous example, if you move without pulling your foot back, you can trick your opponent and defeat them. Snow White listened obediently. The next time she trained, she challenged Ripple by doing that kind of thing. Ripple had been so used to reading Snow White that when Snow White did something unexpected, she managed to land a kick on Ripple's thigh, launching her away unexpectedly. Ripple was surprised. Snow White was also surprised. After that training exam, she called me, expressing excitement that she was able to defeat Ripple that day. I could imagine her excitement without even using my crystal ball. "That's wonderful, Snow," I praised her. "These kinds of pleasures that make magical girls stronger." I'm happy that Snow White was also pleased. This means Snow White's training was heading in the right direction. However, my main job didn't go so well, because I was too focused on Snow White's training. The test that was held at the amusement park had staggering results. The entire park was nearly ruined, destroying many of its equipment unnecessarily. Snow White and Ripple were right to leave the children's park and train in the mountains. In addition to that, no one from the 10 participants had passed the test. A wasted attempt. I was exhausted. I turned the pages of the files trying to comfort myself, but I could only feel absence. In addition to annotating their photos, I placed their treated hair next to it. In a way, I feel like it's part of my duty. I sighed. Well, it doesn't matter now. I have Snow White. That in itself comforted my tired heart. Snow White is a very interesting magical girl. It would be my biggest accomplishment as a magical girl to successfully be able to raise Snow White into the ideal magical girl. I guess it doesn't matter if the test that I held had been a complete failure. I turned on the TV. On the news was a report of a bus accident that killed 10 girls. I didn't like the look of the newscaster talking so painfully, so I turned off the TV. I took the documents that I was planning to submit as reports. Snow White is a very good magical girl with very little violent tendencies. Every day she strives to help people by using her magic. I submitted the report, business as usual. That, to me, sounds very sketchy. Right when she says there was a failure of her test of 10 girls, a bus accident kills 10 girls. It's sketching me. Sketching me out. Let me grab some water really quick. Right now, the most pressing issue isn't in fact Snow White, it's actually Ripple. Currently, my relationship with Snow White was on good terms. It was Ripple that was a bit of a hassle. Her voice over the phone was so sharp you would probably get cut listening to it. Fitting with her biography, she was the type who cherished her friends. Snow White would be my pretense. I needed to persuade this girl. After Snow White and Ripple had parted ways, I confirmed that Snow White was out of the area and has come down from the mountain. I visited Ripple. The mountains aren't a very popular sight because they were so mysterious. In the light of a full moon, they became even more fascinating. Emotions were evoked by insects clinging to the stones and wood. Beyond a chain of trees, pure water streamed together, joining up to form a river. My destination was upstream, beyond the rocks that lined up alongside it. I jumped from rock to rock, creating a nice tempo as I did so. Magical girls don't accidentally slip on their feet. Ripple hasn't left her spot ever since she parted with Snow White. Was she meditating or just listening to the sounds of the river? If there was ever a better time to talk to her, it's now. I jumped up towards the boulder she was sitting on and bowed my head. Long time no see, Ripple. Upon hearing my voice, she turned around with a disgusted look on her face. I was hated. What I told you before, have you considered it? Her face was that of someone who had been betrayed. She was slow to respond to me. I appreciate that you're taking the time to train with Snow White. She's grown stronger. Ripple glared at me, her right eye shining brightly in the moonlight. She looked neither like a human nor a magical girl. She looked like a demon. Though, I've never seen such things personally. That was the power of her glare. I knew it. You were spying on us. Huh? How did you know I was training Snow White? Oh, this is bad. I said too much. Spying is not the correct term. I prefer watching over. I wonder myself if Snow White would walk the right path, so I feel it's my obligation to guide her and watch over her. Well, I mean, Snow White told her that she was training her, right? Hold on, let me reread that really quick. Yeah, she could just say Snow White told me that you were the one training her. I mean, because Snow White did. Oh well, either way. Spying is not the correct term. I prefer watching over. Okay. Ripple clicked her tongue. She was angry. However, perhaps there might still be some room for negotiation. There may still be a way to draw out her sincerity. If there was a way to transition the conversation somewhere, from work to other magical girls perhaps, appeal to her that I'm a capable mentor. I wiped my tears lightly off my face. I looked at Ripple, my mouth curled up a little. She was cute, though she was still angry. Let's keep talking. I talked about the pleasure of Snow White, her human nature. I praised her high aspirations, her potential, strength is immeasurable. I told her how Snow White might be able to reform the land of magic. I had hoped that this would make her happy for the direction she's headed, as this would also make Snow White happy. I tried to speak as calmly as possible to hide my elation as I spoke, but how did she respond? I looked at Ripple's expression. Ripple looked over the river. Well now, I saw where Ripple was watching. There. I learned that everything was destroyed. Standing at the edge of the riverbank was Snow White. She had a fluffy white thing on her right hand. That was the rabbit's foot. Snow White didn't go home. She was planning on returning back and bringing the rabbit's foot. Perhaps Ripple really did intend on sharing the items and teaching her weaponry use. Did she really listen to my opinion back then? Even now, the rabbit's foot, the magical item that would grant luck to the user, indeed made Snow White lucky. She was really lucky because she was able to see the mentor that she wished would watch her in training. Yes, to me it was extremely unlucky. To me it was extremely unlucky. I saw Snow White's expression gradually distort from surprise to disdain. Seeing this, I swung my right foot. My skirt rose, and then I kicked Ripple away. Almost immediately, Ripple moved her arms to block me, cushioning the impact. Although it was a surprise to her, I admired that she could react so quickly. Still, I felt her arm bones cracking. Ripple fell into the river. Yo, she is OP if she broke Ripple's arms already? I saw Snow White beyond the riverbank. She ran towards me with a distorted expression, crying out words that I couldn't understand. It was hard for me to come face to face with Snow White. The reason for that was due to her magical skill, to hear the voices of people in distress. Indeed, if Snow White knew what I had planned, I thought to myself that I would be in danger. There was a possibility that she would find out if I met her face to face. And now, I can see that her response was just that. As she heard me explain everything to Ripple, beyond knowledge of her magical skill, nothing in the world can hide your true feelings. This was one of the few cases where knowing my opponent's magical skill actually placed me at a disadvantage. As I thought, Snow White was a very special girl that way. I wanted to make my ideal magical girl. Powerful, gentle, beautiful, standing for justice, shedding tears for others. If such a magical girl existed, then surely they wouldn't stay put if they knew the state of the land of magic now. Surely she would reform it and stage a revolution. If a coup happened, I would support her to the very end. If ever she forgave me, I wanted to be alone with her. Man, Pithy is insane. I wanted to place her head on my thighs and stroke her hair, because I would love a magical girl like that. Right now, I loved Snow White. Before her, however, there was another that I loved, the forest musician Clamberry. I cared for her hair with love. Using it, I peeked into her life. I was inspired by what she was doing. I tried several times to imitate her tests, thinking how meaningful it could be. However, I mostly failed. For example, the test the other day at the amusement park. Fortunately, I was able to make it look like an accident. Yep, she was the one who created Clamberry. I don't think Snow White will allow me to leave. I don't think she'll forgive me. I don't think that I would want her to forgive me. However, it is a shame. Here are Snow White and Ripple, together at last with me. Yet, I felt ashamed from the bottom of my heart that I had to return to my old days. My old days of seeking the ideal magical girl. Okay, just stopping here for a second. So, she was the one that ended up creating Ripple the way she was. She is exactly... Snow White wanted to fight the people in the land of magic like her. She is exactly what Snow White wanted to fight against. Wow. Okay, continuing on. I wanted to realize my dream, even though it's a personal thing. Snow White was supposed to grow stronger. Now, there's no way to win her back. She was the only one I was interested in, ever since Clanberry died. I prioritized her so much that my real life became careless as a result. I kept her hair as a comfort to myself. I know it's only sentimental, but it's such a sad and painful thing. I would treat it properly so it will never rot. I'll keep it safe and special, not tucked away in a file. Then, when I see it, I'll always remember Snow White. While grinding coffee beans, I'll remember Snow White. I'll pray that I'd be able to meet Snow White again. Slowly and slowly, I would always remember. Snow White broke the boulder in half as she jumped towards me, kicking me as hard as she could. Her movements were fast. I didn't have time to react. I taught her as much. She focused on attacking at full power, and I was far too distracted. If I could break her leg, no matter how angry she would be, she wouldn't be able to move. I did my best to avoid Snow White's attacks. Her legs were aimed towards my neck. This is bad. From the bottom of the river, a metallic object flew upwards and orbited towards me, ignoring the physical laws of gravity. It was a kunai, but I broke her arm, so how? Ripple jumped out of the river, her katana being held in her mouth. She flipped in the air, raising her feet. Slipped between each of her toes was a kunai. She used the momentum to throw them towards me. The trajectory was hard to read. Using her feet made the kunai travel slower. Ripple had removed her wooden shoes, bending her knees and twisting her ankle to throw the kunai. A sword on her mouth and kunai in each of her toes. If it weren't for the actual danger, she would look very comical. Their eyes were different. Snow White's eyes had the threat of beating me down, yet Ripple's eyes had the threat of murder. I don't even know what was fueling Ripple's attacks. Possibly it was just simple anger. The wet sword reflected the light of the moonlight violently. Snow White attacked close quarters, while Ripple kept throwing kunai. I tried counterattacking by dealing with both of them at once. I would defend myself against the kunai before I would block an incoming jab. Their combo was amazing, and it's only been 2 months of training. In the middle of our fight, Snow White caught my leg. I couldn't move it. Ripple took the chance. The kunai struck my right arm. Blood flowed down heavily. I retreated by jumping away from rock to rock, but the two of them followed me. This was their training ground, and it was made of hard ground, so they were at an advantage. They were neither weak nor gentle. This time Ripple threw a knife instead of a kunai. It nearly hit my head, but I managed to avoid it as it lightly scarred my scalp. A faint pain shot through as it did so. Ripple moved towards me, using her sword as best she can to strike me. During this time I was unprotected against Snow White. I know her strength. Even though she was skilled, I know the extent of her power. Thanks to her, I was also able to push Ripple away, taking advantage of her blind spot. My goal is to land a hit on Ripple's throat. When Snow White attacked me, I attempted to block it as best I could, but each of her attacks seemed to be accompanied by a sharp stinging pain. I flew up, climbing rocks upstream. I see. Snow White wasn't attacking barehanded. On her hand was the knife that Ripple had thrown earlier. Ah, I see now. Ripple wasn't throwing the knife at my head. She was aiming to pass it to Snow White. That's why I could avoid it. I avoided Snow White's slashes while also dodging Ripple's kunai with my movements. The timing of the attacks are getting closer and closer. They're in sync. Did Snow White hear Ripple's thoughts? The speed of cooperation was too fast. I felt like I was being chased by a single person with 2 bodies. It was strange yet wonderful at the same time, because I can sense their competence. Their movements were getting better. My breath was getting tired, and not just because of the wound on my shoulder. Their skills and speed were something that they couldn't get by simple training. This felt like a real battle. Believe that you're in a real fight. That was the ultimate word of my training method, and now they're fighting as if it's kill or be killed. It's wonderful, isn't it? The kunai hit my left hand. I was brought back to my senses. Despite my happiness, I remembered the wastefulness of my opportunity. Snow White and Ripple were wonderfully together. In battle, their minds were strengthened. The ties between the two were strong, like pack animals attacking together. Ripple kicked a rock wall, and on the other side, Snow White did the same. Snow White kicked me with her shin. The momentum brought me straight to Ripple, slashing me with a kunai that ripped through my shirt. Snow White and Ripple landed on opposite sides, once again intersecting and jumping back. My cheeks were cut by Ripple's kunai. Snow White jumped over Ripple as she punched me in the back. The rocks that the two were jumping from were torn in half. These two magical girls were with such quality, it's truly regrettable that I have to kill them both. Ah, I know. I'll decorate both your hairs in a set. I'll befriend you even after death. When I perform my next test, I'll always be gazing at that hair. What a beautiful future that would be. I pulled out my crystal ball. On the fingers of my hands I wrapped several strands of the hair. The owner of one of those hairs appeared on the crystal ball. A little girl. She wasn't a magical girl. She was just a human girl. She didn't have any special talents either. She's just a commoner. She was an elementary school girl asleep in bed. My magical skill isn't limited to only peeking at people through my crystal ball. I can also pull them over here. No matter where the target is, they can be anywhere in the world, or even anywhere in space. Once, I even pulled an opponent who escaped into a pocket dimension. It didn't matter where they were. I saw the two magical girls run across the cliffside walls. As they did, I pulled out the girl from my crystal ball, grabbing the nape of her neck. She was asleep. She rubbed her eyes open. Snow White and Ripple's expressions were, ah, I wanted to see it. Their eyes widened in surprise. They saw the girl that I had in my hands. They must have lived in a world where they wouldn't think that scum like me could exist. They probably wouldn't think that I would involve someone completely unrelated to themselves. I'm sorry, but this was necessary. I gently hung on the girl's body, dangling her above the cliff. I gently hung the girl's body, dangling her above the cliff. Ripple and Snow White, who had been focused on me this whole time, ran underneath the cliff to catch the girl. It's okay. I know they'll make it in time, because I made sure of that. The two of them will save the girl before she fell to her death. But there, I will have created an opening. If they save the girl, they have to create an opening for me to act on. If not, they must abandon the girl to deal with me. Because of this dirty trick, I can win. Trampling the weak to ensure that I make it out. I'm willing to do things like that. Similarly, if my ideal magical girls are on the side of justice, and I need to become a villain to accommodate that, then I would gladly take on that role. I dropped the girl, then switched the picture of the crystal ball. Snow White had caught the girl. What about Ripple? When I switched images, it seems that she's already running atop the cliffs. Ah, two righteous magical girls. My sentiments have reached maximum levels. Goodbye, magical girls that I loved. I switched back to Snow White. My magical skill can drag people in the crystal ball to where I am. However, sometimes it depends on my strength. I have the strength to crush bones if I manage to grab my opponent's neck. I aimed at Snow White's neck gently. I prepared and thrusted my hand forward. However, when I thought I would grab onto Snow White's neck, Snow White turned around and thrust her arm forward to mine. No, I had already forgotten. Snow White didn't thrust her bare hands. She had thrusted the hand that gripped the knife and stabbed the knife toward my palm, twisting the knife inside of it. At the time, my right calf was stabbed. I roared with intense pain. There was something unnatural stabbing my right calf. A gigantic shuriken stabbed into my bones. It was Ripple's hair clip. My hands couldn't hold the crystal ball and I fell down. The coldness of the ground spread across my body. The wounds on my calf have broken my bones. I can't crawl. My breath became rough. The cold air of the mountains were hurting my lungs. How did Snow White read my attack? I wasn't distressed at all. She could have read my hands, she couldn't have read my hands as it had no mind of its own. Ah, I see. I had thought I attacked her blind spot, but I had forgotten someone else, the girl. Being carried by Snow White, she must have seen my hand appear out of nowhere. She must have been so scared at this whole situation. Snow White read her mind and immediately reacted to stab my hand in response to that. Ripple immediately launched her attack by unplugging her clip and throwing it to me. Speaking of myself, I don't think I can stand up. Snow White and Ripple. To think that they could use a waste like me and make themselves stronger polishing their skills. How fun would it be to think of their future? How sad would it be that I won't be there to see that future? If it's my destiny to fall here, then I will accept it, knowing that I've created my ideal magical girls. How tragic. I myself cannot become my own ideal magical girl. My heart is rotten. There's no such thing as repentance for me. However, I still continued seeking for that one magical girl who would become my ideal. A superb magical girl who can destroy the land of magic from within and rebuild it anew. The magical girl who can do what I couldn't do. For that reason I would teach them, and I would always strive to make the ideal magical girl. I always thought that she would stand next to me, facing the land of magic together. If only I had more time. Ripple looked like a beast, and Snow White looked cold. They hadn't treated their injuries, blood dripping from them. Snow White's emotions pierced through me like a hunter's gaze. Her hair was ruffled and disturbed. Sometimes there are situations where messy hair is more beautiful than orderly hair. She looked like a hunter, hunting her prey. Me, the magical girl known as Pithy Frederica. Ah, an idea came into my head. That beauty inspired me. Although this can suit both of them. This name suited Snow White the most. The magical girl hunter. Such a beautiful name. It's a shame that she couldn't hear me suggest it. As a painful strike from her hit me, my vision faded, but that nickname will soon be known everywhere. Man, so she just pretty much died to turn Snow White into a rogue against the land of magic. And also she was evil and made all of the tests like Cranberry did, which is a hugely, hugely dick move. So yeah, that sets us up for the land of magic to be really, really corrupt, and for them to at least think that Snow White is this violent offender that killed her own mentor. Because, I mean, who are they going to believe, her or Pithy, really? Yeah, man, that ended quite badly, but like I was saying, I kind of thought that Pithy was going to end up being a bad guy, just from, I don't know, just from the hints we had. But either way, that was really, really enjoyable, and I liked it a lot. I mean, I'm excited to get into new characters, but that was a really good way to continue Snow White and Ripple's story. Yeah, I guess that's it. The video will probably be up Sunday. That's the day I'm guessing. I might do it earlier, but I don't know. Probably like Sunday for the one about the characters or whatever. But it might be up sooner, like I said. Next Tuesday we'll start Restart. We'll start Restart. And that's it. So either way, like if you did like this video, and comment down there to tell me what you thought of Snow White Raising Project, my first thoughts, my reaction, my thoughts, all that. Anything else you wanted to say. Also, I guess subscribe for more Magical Girl Raising Project and more. I'm really loving it, and I'm gonna continue going on just every single week with it, because it's one of the series that I think I get the most engagement and people talking about and people liking every week, and it's one of the ones I enjoy most doing every week. So at least for now, I'm holding off on going to every 2 weeks. I'm just gonna stick to every week for the foreseeable future. Then what else we got? Follow on Twitter if you want to try to keep you updated here and stuff for the channel. That's it. Thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.